Today we're going to talk about anxiety and skin flushing. 3 top reasons why I flush with anxiety, and 3 key tips on how you can work through that. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm glad you're here today. You know what I love about this channel, as I've said multiple times before? I love that I can freely skin flush here. And that's what this channel is all about. So instead of trying to hide it like I would in most cases, I can just be free to do this here. Because why? I don't know. Look at it. Oh, it's on my arms. That's good. And it makes me comfortable. Makes me comfortable and just feel empowered that I could come here and talk to you and just let that be. So I do want to point out really quick. Do you see what I've done to my face here? All right, story time. Quick story time. There are these little, I don't know what they're called, like little razor thingies that you like clean up your eyebrows with, right? So you can also do like some like facial stuff with it, like where you can like scrub not just like hair off of your face, but dead skin. So I have one that I normally use, a normal brand that I use, but I ordered some recently on Amazon, trying out a new vendor that I had not used before. So I decided to do some cleanup. Y'all, look at this. I like cut my face off the other night. Like just cutting my face off, had no idea until like I was almost done and then I was just bleeding. I'm not used to them being that sharp. So there's that. Okay, story time over. So today I want to talk about anxiety and skin flushing because I know we've talked a lot about histamine. We've talked about other things that have to do with why our skin is flushing. And I wanted to say from a psychological point of view, just a couple of things that I've noticed on my own journey. So I've noticed that if my mind creates an anxious thought, it's not all the time, but okay, so time out. The other day I posted a video that my functional neurologist said, here's a part of your brain that speaks to this part of this thing, and this is what's happening. And I couldn't think of words. So what I have discovered since then, and I may say this wrong because I can't remember right now, which is not helping my story at all, but I know. He said, we're talking about the part of your brain that is the hypothalamus. I feel like that word is wrong now I'm saying it out loud, but hypothalamus or something like that. And the hypothalamus speaks directly to the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland is what triggers hormones in your body. So it tells you create cortisol, create estrogen, create blah, 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 all the hormones. So when you have some sort of traumatic event or an anxious loop, or your adrenal glands are they've been in fight or flight for so long and they've just been in survival and they're burnt out. This is what he said to me. They're burnt out or they're easily just, that's the only words I can think of. They're easily worn out. Then you have this trigger that happens in your body. It releases cortisol, blah, 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 all the things. So here are my 3 anxious flushing correlations. For myself, I notice when someone exerts power over me. So working in corporate, I often find it just psychologically nerve-wracking knowing that I belong to someone else, that my income, my livelihood belongs to someone else's decisions and thoughts and feelings that day. That's really hard for me working in the corporate world. And I come from a background where I've had many jobs. My husband has had many jobs and we have been fired. I've either had to quit because they're asking me to do something that's morally incorrect or just something that just doesn't sit well with me and I'm against it and I'm going to say no. Or there's layoffs. It's someone who you, I guess, truly feel like at the end of the day, you cannot trust because they'll let you go. And I've seen it happen so many times. And right now I work at a place that I absolutely love. And I do trust my leadership as much as I can. And, but I noticed that when I'm talking to my boss, as much as I really like him, I still will flush around him because I know psychologically he holds a power over me. I don't want to believe that, and I'm still working on that, but I will do a lot of skin flushing when I feel that he he has a power over me. So I'm gonna link a video from one of my other channels that I somewhat started, and then I jumped on this channel and like this channel more. It's called Always Teachable, Never Inferior, because it's something that I'm trying to work through myself, is that just telling my mind that you're always teachable, but you're never inferior. But at the end of the day, in your job, your boss can pull your card, right? So I think that that creates a psychological trigger, because I have a lot of PTSD in the corporate workplace that just makes me flush, makes me have a stress hormone, makes cortisol rise, and all the things. Number 2 for me is trauma in the body. So when I started flushing, I would have a heat situation. So I would go from cold to hot, and that would be in my body. Like right now, I'm set up in a small room. There is a studio light on me. That studio light is hot. You're not making me nervous. It's just getting a little hot in here. So going from that cool body temperature to that heated body temperature, I guess triggers that trauma in my body, releases cortisol, the stress hormones there. My skin reacts to it in the blood vessels. So I notice if I go from a cold environment to a hot environment, even if I am coming from indoors to outdoors and the sun is shining and it's an amazing day and I feel amazing, that sun trigger this will happen. Sometimes really bad too. So that trauma in the body, I guess my brain feels it and it's like, release. It's trauma. The third thing for me is fear, fight or flight, worry. That doesn't happen all the time if I'm worried about something, but if there is massive fear, judgment, obviously, like speaking in front of a crowd, things of that nature, it can release that as well. So I just wanted to point out those 3 things about my own personal journey, and then also talk about 3 things that have helped me. So obviously it's still happening, but I just don't think it should stop you. Don't let it stop you. So talk therapy, number 1, is incredibly helpful. Having someone that you can talk to that you don't feel judged by, whether that be a therapist or a coach or a psychiatrist or psychologist, or just a really close friend or husband or wife or whoever it is you talk to, a blog. This is somewhat talk therapy for me, being able to talk to you guys, just to be able to get that stuff out and be heard, and feel understood, that somebody hears what you're going through. That's been incredibly beneficial. Number 2 is exposure therapy. So going into environments that make you incredibly uncomfortable or where you may flush. I will say that I normally wear a turtleneck in my corporate environments, but when I'm on like personal time, most times I'm in a lower cut shirt. It doesn't do this as much when I'm in really safe environments with friends or family, but I know that the potential is there, and I know that when it does happen, I just try to breathe through it and let that exposure be there. So exposure therapy, also going into those heated environments. My functional neurologist did tell me the other day, get into the saunas, get in those hot environments so that you can try to reteach your body, this is okay, we are safe here. And then the third thing I want to say is the famous saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. Keep pressing forward when you feel the fear, when you know that this makes you feel a certain way. Like I said, for me, and some people might not agree, turtlenecks are my jam, because if I have a turtleneck on or something that's higher up or a scarf, I just don't have to think about it. And there are a lot of cute cut style shirts for summer. I have super cute shirts for the summertime that I wear, especially in the professional setting, that I just don't have to think about it. My hair is short. My hair was actually in a pixie prior to this. I get a lot of that up my neck. So if I had longer hair, it would help hide some of that on the neck. But I like short hair, and I'm not going to not have short hair because of this. I'm actually in a transition of growing out right now, but because I want to, not because I'm scared. So I think when you just press through that fear and you let yourself feel it, your body does, it does balance. It figures itself out. Now mine has embedded itself into this system, hot and cold. I've done a lot of work mentally to release some of that psychological pieces. And that's why now that I'm on this journey now, I don't feel that so much of it is psychological as it is physiological, whether my mind is involved in it now or not. My body is taking a message from back when I had a lot of anxiety. And speaking of a lot of anxiety and pressing forward, oh, what is this? What might this be? Where did this come from? Okay, just kidding. This is my book. It's called Pressing Forward. pushing through fear and anxiety to find my truest self. I'm not going to talk much about this right now, but I figured it was a good time to talk about it because this story, I actually didn't have a crap ton of skin flushing during this time, but this is my story of how I struggled with debilitating anxiety and depression for a whole year of my life. So when my adrenal glands got maxed out, it was because of this season right here where I basically lost my shit. So I'm good now, and this book talks about that journey. It talks about how I actually discovered that the reason why it's called Pushing Through Fear and Anxiety to Find My Truest Self is because I discovered that I was living a lie based off of this performance, this fear of being judged and being found out and all these things that then helped me, that anxiety helped launch me into finding my voice, finding who I was, and realizing that the anxiety was coming from when you tell a lie or you live a lie, you have to lie to keep the lie up. And I didn't realize that that's how I was living my life. So, but this book, and speaking of feel the fear and do it anyway and pressing forward, this book is all about just going through it. Don't resist it when it comes. Breathe and move through it. So if you are interested in this book, reading this book, finding out more about me and my journey, I'll link this below. It's on Amazon. They have the Kindle version as well. But that's my third piece, is just to feel it and move forward and don't let it stop you. Like, there may be days, my first video on this channel, I'm like upset. And that's why I started the channel, because I was like, I'm done pretending like this doesn't exist. I feel trapped in this sometimes, but I also think that part had a lot to do with my birth control, because I don't feel that way anymore. See previous videos. But yeah, I just think that anxiety, psychological aspects do help create some of this. It's not getting too much worse. Normally, if I was... Sorry, I'm just really moved by the fact that I can come here and talk to this camera. The flushing can start. I am hot, but it's not like spreading and getting worse. But yeah, the psychological pieces can absolutely play into your skin flushing, but I wouldn't go and jump into the fact that maybe you're losing your mind. But if you're looking for different angles to get a different viewpoint, then maybe this is one of them. This is absolutely one of them. But this is a little bit of my story, and those are my top 3 anxious skin flushing topics, I guess, and then just 3 things that I think can help make it a little bit better. So until next time, guys, I will see you soon.